Hey everybody, Logan here. This is a first. This controller brand for me, first time I've ever used it, first time I've gotten my hands on one, and that is from a company called BigBig Won. If I'm not mistaken, they're actually in the process of a name change to Mojang, but right now this box still says BigBig Won, and this is the Blitz 2 TMR. What does that mean? TMR sticks. But look at that, 2000 hertz and 1000 hertz gyroscope. Could this be too good to be true? I don't know. Look at that. It's a pretty cool looking controller. Like I said, I've never used any of their products before, so this is a first for me. Looks impressive. I took a look at the back of the box and, well, let me just show it to you because this seems a little too good to be true. This is a pretty nice sized box by itself. Like, just looking at it, it's much larger than a lot of the controller boxes that I usually get. They're about maybe this big, I would say. And I was like, okay, when I saw the front of the box, it's got an extra set of row buttons. And I was like, ooh, what do these do? It says 2000 hertz. 2000 hertz wired and wireless. Not too many controllers these days are 2000 hertz wireless as well. There are controllers that are significantly more expensive that don't have all these features. This is a $79.99 US, of course, controller that has, well, if you look at the front of the box, Mechanical Pro Gaming Controller, TMR, meaning TMR sticks, 16 mechanical buttons, 1000 hertz gyroscope motion control. This has been a big I guess topic on my channel lately. I've asked a number of people about gyro, and it seems to be, I wouldn't quite say 50-50 from what I'm seeing. I'm seeing more people saying they don't use it, but the people that do use it are they have a fervor for it. Let's put it that way. Wow, okay, we'll leave it there. But 2000 hertz wired and wireless polling rate, to me, is what stuck out the most, because there are other companies. People are trying to defend companies that are charging significant amount more for a PC Pro controller that, well, might be wired and can support 1000 hertz, but wireless can't. And this one does both. That's quite a bit. So let's take a look at the back of the box. Now it says high resolution TMR joysticks. That's fantastic. That's the next step of, I guess you can say, Hall effect, because we have the APS, the Hall effect, and then TMR being the top of the line. 16 mechanical buttons, 2000 hertz polling rate for wired and wireless connection, 1000 hertz polling rate for motion control, 1000 mAh battery. So it's not just going to feel good and perform well, it's going to last quite a bit. One thing I've noticed with controllers lately, I'm getting a lot of them that are around 500 to 600 mAh, and I think that's a little low. I'm waiting for the day when we get like the 5000 mAh, like in a lot of phones these days. That'll be nuts, but hey. And here we have another point of contention, 4 additional buttons. This is my optimal positioning of buttons. 2 in the back, and then 2 extra bumpers on the top, which some call the claw buttons. There are people that'll rip this controller shreds just because it doesn't have 4 down here. I don't find that necessary. I think this setup of those 4 extra buttons are perfect. And as you see, for Windows 10, 11, Switch, Android, iOS. So I think the gyro is going to be the best for the Switch, but keep in mind, the Switch does not support 1000 hertz on anything. Hopefully the Switch 2 will. This will be fantastic to use if it's compatible on the Switch 2. So I've jabbered on long enough. Let's open up this bad boy. How about that? That's a snazzy looking controller. Like I said, I've never used their controllers before. I really like the design. One thing that really gets me is how these controllers and I will say, after being reached out to by BigBig Won about reviewing it, I looked into some of their other controllers. I feel that they've taken the regular Pro controller design and, you know, kept that classic look to it, but kind of made it their own. If you look, it's got more of a boxy style right here, slightly rounded out, which reminds me of a mix between the Switch Pro controller and the Xbox Series XS controller. The back's got a blocked off but rounded look to it. I like the way the back buttons, or what I call the flappy paddles, look on the back, slightly raised. That's actually really nice, and the rubber grips. But if you look at the top, that reminds me more of a Switch Pro controller with the bumpers right there, the extra M3 and M4 buttons. In the hand, that is a very nice controller. You can easily, hear that? Easily press those buttons back there without having to resituate or move your hands or in a weird way, and I really like that. Oh, those sticks are nice. The texture on the sticks, can you guys see that? Zoom in just a little bit there, and wow, that's a very different texture. You got texture here and there, and it's not your standard rubber. It feels like, again, more texture to keep your fingers from slipping. I like that. Anti-friction rings. Nice D-pad. Full mechanical. Those are mechanical triggers. Now, one thing I noticed about that, again, that makes me think Switch Pro. That is really nice. So they've decided to forego trigger locks and just make it a super short press. They went, we're going to take out the long press. We're just going to give you the instant mechanical press. That is nice. That is nice. Okay. The only thing I'm going to say is even my hands are not small by any means. So if you're reaching over here, if you're going to have smaller hands, those buttons are going to be a little harder to press. In this case, I think they should have pushed them further over, maybe more like 8-Bit Do does, where they kind of snug them in there, like right in between. That might be a little bit better. And now this case, having two more back here might be better than that for the average person, because again, like I said, I have larger hands. I can reach it with no problem, but when I comfortably relax my hand here, it's not the easiest to reach back here. That's the only complaint I have thus far, right out of the box. Do we have any power? No. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of power. So that's interesting. Just tiny accent lights for the home button, which is the power button. And then if you look, you can see what would be on the Switch button. You got your screenshot button for the Switch. You got your menu buttons that are Xbox styled, I guess you could say. And then two little lights right there. And now it even has a spot if you were going to get a charge dock. I did not see an available charge dock when I looked this up on Amazon. That feels really nice. That definitely feels nice in the hand. To have 2000 hertz wired and wireless and 1000 hertz gyro, and I like the way this feels. I don't know. Can something beat this? I don't know. This almost sounds too good to be true. Do we have anything else in the box? I just saw the sticks here, so we got different types of sticks and D-pad. I like that D-pad. I'm not a big fan of that new disc style. Well, if you want to call it new. You got the taller sticks, and you got shorter sticks. Okay, that's nice, and they're all same. Yeah, so that's a nice controller, and there's nothing else in here. Right out of the box, it looks great. But that means nothing, you know that, right? That means absolutely nothing if it doesn't perform well. So yeah, but one thing before we do, I know people are going to ask me, what are these buttons for? I do not know. So the instructions will tell us. So if we open up and look at the Blitz 2. Okay, pretty simple. Turbo, remap, macro, and configures. Okay, I'm guess going configure will probably be your profile button. Your macro, you guys know what macro and turbo button is. So now it's a remap button. That is cool. I really do like the fact that it has those features. And if you want to go a little bit further, you can download the BigBig Won app. And yeah, that looks, there's mapping and tells you how to do everything in here. Oh, that is pretty cool. Onboard config, switch mode, is input mode, dead zone of joystick. Oh, so the onboard configurations. Oh, so that's what that one is. Reset configure. Okay. So it says switch mode or is input mode. So you can switch back and forth between those two modes. Okay, that's what the button does. So I jumped ahead of myself there. Glad I'm looking through it. Joystick calibration, gyroscope calibration, volume adjustment, vibration. This has every feature in the book. Literally in this book, it has every feature. But you know what I mean. Every feature that people could ask for on this controller. But there are some people that are still go, it doesn't have 4 on the back. I don't want it. I get that quite a bit and I just laugh. But this seems like a very fantastic controller right out of the box. But again, let's see them stats and see how it feels in gameplay. Here we go, we're booting up controllertest.org. As you can see, the controller is connected. If you just look, you can see the little image and it moves and we're good to go. So now if we scroll down to the button test area, we can see that it has, well, everything that we would normally test. So let's get to it. All right, there's a quick look. Yeah. If you look at everything, it's roughly around a 3 millisecond. There are some buttons that go a little lower, but when we're talking about a little lower, it's 2.9 millisecond. If you look at the A and the B, it's 2.9, X is 3, Y is 2.9, the left bumper 3.1, right bumper 2.9. These are all the average. Minimum is between a 0.5 and a 0.7. On the triggers is the only thing that kind of makes me go, because it's the same average latency as the face buttons. And one thing that I really like to see is a lower latency on the triggers because of how quickly most people will be wanting to shoot. But 3 milliseconds is a very good number. But if we look down here on the other ones, the left stick, the right stick, the D-pad, the start and select, they're all roughly the same thing. Everything sits at just around the 3 millisecond mark, which is not bad. But again, this is based on around 20 to 30 something presses, and that's the average. You can see numbers that will vary depending on the source that you use and yourself. But this is right in front of you. This is the controller I have, and this is what you're seeing. So latency is solid. Now, I've actually seen other controllers that have had less latency, but not by much. This seems to be the average latency, the average latency for a lot of these controllers these days, between 2.6 and 3.0 milliseconds. And that's great. At least it's not anything higher. I have seen some as high as 5 milliseconds, and that's not what most people want. So that is a solid set of numbers for the Blitz 2. Back to the good old firing range in Exo Prima. One thing I will say right off the bat, the longer I hold this controller in my hand, the more I'm feeling Switch Pro controller vibes. Because if you look at the shape and the feel in the hand, besides the grips down here, it feels more like a Switch Pro controller then I will say an Xbox Series XS controller. But yeah, that's just one thing I've noticed as I've been holding it. Wow. Wow. This feels fantastic. Alrighty. Oh, this is great. I mean, my movement is literally 1-to-1 with my finger. I've not used a controller that is this fast before. That the controller test doesn't feel like it does it justice while playing. It just feels really good. I think this is a fantastic controller. I love the way it feels in the hand. I like the grips on the sticks. I like the rubberized grips. I do not mind the volume of the mechanical clicks. It's not so loud where it's annoying, especially if you're wearing headphones. You will not notice it. On any of these, it's just fantastic. Nothing comes pre-mapped, so you will have to map everything yourself using the app or the macro button. So you can do that as well. You can program it there. But I think this is a fantastic feeling controller. Now, like I said, there is a dock for it. I did not see them, but I'm sure they are available when I did look, or there will be some available in the near future. But I think this is a fantastic controller. Have you guys picked one up? Have you bitten the bullet? Have you used a BigBig Won controller before? Let me know. Drop it in the comment section below. This seems very promising. I was a little skeptical because, again, I've not heard too much about them. I've seen them online. I've seen ads on Instagram, but I've never used one. So whenever a company reaches out to me and I'm unfamiliar with their product, I go in with a healthy bit of skepticism. But this is a fantastic controller, and I hope all their other products are like that. And remember, TMR sticks, 2000 hertz for wired and wireless, 1000 hertz gyro, 4 programmable buttons, and 16 mechanical buttons. How awesome is that? For $79.99, you really can't beat this value for PC. So if you were looking at this, I would definitely give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video. Ha! God bless you all. Like what I was saying, be legendary. Thanks again.